Raj.
I'm Bart.
And welcome to
Game Strategy and Reviews. This episode, we're going to include you in a celebration of ours.
Big celebration. You're going to like this.
And we're going to preview a new format.
Yeah, it's really cool. You're going to like this.
We call commentaries. Well, we're having our first celebration over here at Game Strategy and Reviews.
First, and it's a milestone for us.
And yeah, it's a small, very tiny achievement. Why are these squares around our faces?
It looks good, doesn't it? I know where my face is. I'm blind without my glasses, but I can tell where my face must be on this.
Well, it happened about a month ago. Honestly,
we have achieved our goal of getting more viewers, and we're celebrating our 500th view.
This is our Games Strategy and Reviews page. If you look right here, you can see.
Wow,
500 views.
Well, we really appreciate this, and
yeah.
You know, we'd like to thank you guys for your support, and we hope that you continue to enjoy our station as we're bringing in new things. And I don't want to give a spoiler alert.
Okay, moving right along.
And this is the map as you begin first turn of play.
It's a game starting position.
Yes, each game will be exactly in these spots. You won't differentiate. So, learning curve is pretty good when you play a second game. As you can see, I am up here in the west.
Roger's the Israelis.
Yes, and most of my forces have been butted right over. You don't realize it, but right over in this area along the top, I can't fall back because of the water. And there's also a swamp area there. It can't be occupied. So coming up this way, I'm completely separated from the little bit of armor I have all the way to the west. It's not much. However, the way Bart is deployed over here that has its own story.
Well, it's basically a big fan and not very well organized, not concentrated at all. Sadat and his guys had this idea that they would fan out the Egyptian army in all directions and turn the desert into fire. And so suddenly you get beamed into command and you can pinpoint with complete technological accuracy everywhere the Egyptian army is suddenly going to go, in complete contradiction to the plans they've been working on for months, maybe years. But it's a nice place to start.
Yeah, as you can see, we're locked into combat in 4 different spots before we even had any choices on where we're going to move.
3, 4.
Yes, all over in the west.
Okay, and the Israelis are about to move. You want to see them?
Yep, my next move was to create a front. I was stuck in that one area and felt that I could only stop him up completely and force him to fall back was over here. Having my pieces over here, eventually, if I could have kept up the push, would have eliminated all of his. Also, as well, instead of going for an objective that we were intending to play for, I then brought my pieces back around to secure one of the objectives in the bottom where I would have naturally had to come through, basically trying to bring them back around and create a huge front over here. That was, in my opinion, a mistake.
Okay, that was turn 1, night, end of the Israeli move. And so our next slide actually goes to the
combat.
I think end of the Egyptian move. Okay, turn 1, night. This was the end of my move and combat. Accidentally, we missed the IDF combat phase, the picture. We did get it in the game, and my Egyptian movement phase, but I got better after this. Okay, he retreated. So what happened was this part surrounded and knocked out one armor company. And then, because I think of these as brigades, the whole formation, 4 units. My guys moved in. They had really bad terrain back here. It's night. We have -2 on movement. Over here, I managed to get this guy. I was happy about that. Over here, there were some exchanges.
I think I lost one. You lost one.
Yeah, but I did manage to come and form a line up here. Now, I'd like to point out, I have 13 combat factors, and Roger has 23 combat factors at this point.
It's now turn 2 in the morning. This is the Israelis are making our move. As you can see, I had lost one of the armored, I believe it was a half-track unit, that was stationed out in front. I had made a mistake of leaving these 2 units here, and I had no place to fall back to. As you can see also in the west, my reinforcements have come on, and I've tried...
You mean east?
In the east, sorry. I've come on and brought the guys in here trying to create a wedge and start to move them up. That was the area where I was receiving reinforcements and would receive them every time I did. So I felt the need to lock it down. Unfortunately, in a desert type game, you need to be able to move and fire and move around. And making static defenses the way I did proved to be my undoing, I felt.
Turn 2 morning, Egyptian move, and reinforcements come from the north. I got 3 armored battalions.
Took them along the road, which is the fastest way to move in this
game. Got in very nice. They immediately doubled my firepower. And I had parity. When he didn't attack, he just adjusted 1 unit. Honestly, I was
obliged.
Very happy.
It allowed you to, and...
It allowed me to survive. I mean, there would have been tatters if he had pounced on me. But anyway, I moved up, because the thing is, I don't have to attack in this game. Combat's never obligatory, and I become, like, very sticky. So, like, I hold you back and retreat a lot. So, it's not kind of safe to be next to you. But at the same time, you see, I took this guy out of Chinese farm and start moving him this way.
Yeah, I remember when you had decided to leave Chinese farm only because it's the key objective on the game, and it offers the best defensive bonus by holding that particular area.
But one thing is, a unit in Chinese farm while the front line is somewhere else is useless.
Exactly. And
I have to be able to retreat towards Chinese farm to make it useful.
You did the smart thing by leaving there. You also increased your forces to bear on me and forced me to keep falling back. You did a lot of successful maneuvering at this point. As you notice, you've also locked me in completely and begun to lap over and flank me down in the west.
You mean the east?
Oh, in the east. I'm sorry. Because the map is tilted on its side, it's confusing.
Sorry. Let me get to the Egyptian combat. Okay, we attacked and we advanced after combat. By the way, we used this in the rules. I didn't see that it says you had to advance exactly where the defender vacated. So I just interpreted the advancer could attack anywhere, and it was a lot of fun. And
it was, by you doing it and me picking it up, it was one of the only ways I was actually gaining a little ground. This is turn 3 in the afternoon. This is the Israelis' move. And as you can see, I tried moving my forces back up in order to attack. I managed to get him to retreat a little bit, and Bart forced me to retreat quite a bit. In my area in the east, I had brought on more forces and moved forward, but I don't think I really made you fall back anywhere at this point.
Over here, I think you destroyed me.
Oh, possibly 1 or 2 units, I guess, might have been exchanged down here, but you've still kept me bottled up.
We were both losing, both hemorrhaging during this. Nobody was...
Yes, all units in all areas were constantly taking a pounding. That's why you don't notice
You also got reinforcements.
Yes. I had brought on the engineers that would have normally tried to go all the way to the west, but we had altered the scenario.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next.
Okay, this is my move. Okay, what I did was, I'm trying to get him, take the easy picking. Over here, they're just holding the line. I have my heavy armor right near Chinese farm, so he can fall back on it. But over here, I am moving my guy out into the desert to get around these sticky zones of control. Over here, my idea is just block them. Keep blocking them and hold them up. Okay, these were my attacks. Turn 3 afternoon Egyptian attacks. I had one little attack over here, which I managed to go forward, and I managed to get rid of that guy. So that was just juice.
Yeah, picked me off on the flanks, and it was working. And as I move into turn 4 at night, I had decided I needed to fall back somewhere because I was, as you can see over here, being pounded. I had at one time a nice secure line over here, and Barton managed to lap around and force me to, as the way I was strung out along here, there was no place to fall back to. So the line got shorter and shorter, and this was my attempt to hold at one point and retreat back. I had decided I was trying to scoot around and get the heck out of where I was because there was no other places to retreat to. So I had brought the engineers around in an attempt to, take the roadway and go all the way to the, I guess that would be the north, or is that the south?
That's the north. That's south.
All right, so trying to just basically bring them to the north. I was in some serious, there's only 7 turns show. This is only, a 7,
serious sauce.
This is only a 7-turn game, and we're at 4 at night, so we're going into turn 5. As you can see, my forces are highly depleted, and I can't bring any reinforcement to the other front. He's divided and now is conquering. And my attacks over here, I've managed to move forward and force him to retreat in one area, and I begin to...
These are my guys destroyed.
Bring them down here to try to force a breakout of some way. I had succeeded in picking off 2 of Bart's and managing to get him to fall back in one area. However, he did eliminate a unit on me for all of that. There, at times attackers get destroyed just as well in this game. So, as you can see, I've broken it up here now and sort of gotten into a little bit better of a space.
The green field's beyond.
But you'll see what happens in the next turn.
Okay, this is my turn. It's an Egyptian night. Okay. I continued. I got around here. Luckily, I got here on the road, and then I can just fly like the wind.
Yep.
Fly like an eagle.
Right around and begins the pincers.
And at this point, he was locked down. Mm-hmm. Over here, this little tiny army keeps on getting smaller and smaller, but by golly, they just keep on going into the breaches, and he ain't getting nowhere. And that amazing army just keeps on disappearing.
It holding me down there with half the amount of pieces was good. Those sticky zones of control mean I can't, once I get to a certain area, if there's no room to maneuver, I can't. And it's not good to be anywhere in a game like this that you are not in at least the center of the board, because you need an area to go back to.
Yeah.
One unit can do a great deal if properly placed against a big static front.
And this is basically the beginning of that cul-de-sac. I won here and here. Here I was a ceasefire. It was just way too powerful. Now it's your turn.
Turn 5 in the morning. I had decided, or was it? Yes, I moved back. Why? I don't know. Instead of trying to break out some way over here to create some sort of wedge that he would have to fall back from. It creates a big static glob, and as you can see what will happen in the next turn, why it was such a mistake. On the bottom, instead of,
You received reinforcements.
Yes, they come on in this area. It deploys there, and I tried to bring as many units as I can back in there. But as you can see, with just 4 pieces, and I now definitely have double what he has. I cannot break free of there until combat occurs, if I get that result. And as you can see, I managed to just push him a bit over here to get out Unfortunately, because of the spacing, I still cannot break free of the area, except down here. But I didn't have enough movement to get him out. I don't know if that was, I didn't move that. In the top, I had managed to, out of all the combats,
Yeah.
I think I killed one of yours, I killed one of yours, you
Yeah.
killed one of mine, and I managed to make you fall back, but for that combat of me having to lose on that, it really kind of stunk. I had 5 units, I'm down to 4 now, and there are still a couple of turns to get. I still haven't managed to make enough of a corridor to unite my armies, or to get out of there. And in the next turn, you can see the results.
Turn 5 morning, Egyptian move. Okay, I got reinforcement. 1 brigade, armor brigade.
From the other end of the board, flanking me completely.
And this interesting trapezoidal figure occurs.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, back here, I've got 3 little infantry battalions holding back the entire IDF armor.
And their engineers that were historically crucial to this battle. They really did great down there, considering you don't realize that for me to move off of a lot of these squares down here would have cost me half my movement for 1 point, and, just to cross over here, or anything, it was going to be, most of my movement was going into any type of movement off of this, so I tried attacking off of it. And not to mention, you can't stack in this game. I would prefer that you could stack at least 2 units, or a maximum, of 2 units.
Well, let's see how all these combats went. Boom, he's down to 1 unit there. And
took out everything.
We do it.
Advanced in.
Okay, break out the BBQ. And meanwhile, we got these 3 guys.
At this point, there's no point in trying to relieve the unit. It's going away anyway.
Okay. All yours.
As you can see, even though it is hopeless, I am completely surrounded in the west. All my units have been reduced, and there's no place for me to retreat to. I begin a massive push, because really what else can I do except to try to bring the other army and clear it out? Because there's only 3 units down here, I try to bring everything to bear, as you can see, to force Bart out. And I attacked and got this result. I actually managed in the north, with my last little unit, to push out and do some sort of, how could I say it, it's like an act of futility. Move, I'm gonna get killed, move! And, I once again had no place to go back to. I had come through and managed to force Bart back.
You got me off that hill.
Yes.
That hill was very impressive.
And I managed to push him up here, freeing up, and I eliminated a unit, actually. They're just beginning to do something down here. And what can I really do in just...
Okay.
The afternoon. And
okay. My turn. These guys that were next to him, I just left them, sent 1 more guy to get the combined arms bonus, and everybody else went boom along these roads.
Everything to the other side of the board along the roadway, which costs no movement. It's half movement.
It's like a magic carpet.
You got 10 movement? Oh, no, on the road you got 20.
I got on the magic carpet. And here I am, like, completely a whole new front line.
Holding me in once again. I just broken it.
So then I did a combat. I managed to finally get him. And then I managed to push him back. And at that point, the Israelis called for a UN-monitored ceasefire.
Yup. You think you totally held me up after finally breaking free. You eliminated any hope up here, okay? Because they were just gone. And, whoa, how did that happen?
I think there are U.S. paratroopers.
Where did they come in?
The U.S. paratrooper variant.
You forced me back yet once again. It was becoming the same old thing, and we called it a game because there's no winning. As we had changed it and changed the objectives, I had access to one objective, whereas Bart had access to the other 6. So what would you think? I think that's a victory on your part.
Yeah.
And if we had played according to the actual rules, he still won by blocking off the roadway, which was their objective.
Yeah, yeah.
In both criteria,
Those guys
did a darn good job.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It was quite a fun game.
Yeah, it was. You know, I was doing well. Then I was up on the ropes, but we were fighting, and it was a lot of fun.
See, one of the things is over here on turn 3, afternoon. To me, this is the tipping point.
Yes, it had polarized the game. I was now 2 separate armies that were being held back by half the amount of.
It was like World War I over here.
Yes, it was as if it was almost like trench warfare. You're right. It was
brutal.
However, you did do something amazing and hold off 2 armies that were significantly stronger than yours each time with less units.
Well,
and you had forced me to become this fixed front. Unfortunately, I could not figure a way around any of this. That's, my own fault. But you did a good job on locking me down, and the key was for me to unite these 2 armies. If I could, I would be able to throw you around the board.
Sure, but you have to do that in the first turn.
Yes,
you have to start setting up a real cohesive line between the 2. No, first, second turn.
Yeah.
But I would like to point out this little move. I had this tank here, and he moved out to here.
Yes,
that was the one thing is when you have so few pieces, every piece is very useful for throwing on a couple more factors in a battle. And it's a big sacrifice to take them off the battle line and just driving out into the desert in no direction. But the investment of surrounding your opponent, obviously pays back, in bushels. And that's an important part of these hex encounter games, is to outflank your opponent. There's no true outflanking rule, but just the way the retreat rules and then the combat tables and the pieces interact, you get this wonderful dynamic that the flanks are vulnerable.
Yes, and they are in real military terms.
Yeah.
By the way you move them around and then force them to fall back through you is where you manage to get in the game dynamic to allow you to pick those units off. Because any other way, it's a lot harder to eliminate units in this game. There are certain times when you have a good chance, like when you're getting 9+ and rolling on there. The first, a 1 or a 2 eliminates the enemy unit. But the best way in this game is simply to have them fall back through it and get the bonus of eliminating the unit that way.
Oh, you also have to make sure that you have retreat routes, even when you have a lot of territory behind you. A couple units stacked up can inadvertently cut someone's retreat off. It's a clever little mechanic.
Also, at that point, I was backed up in the very west end here against an area that there was no falling back on. I could not fall back.
Yeah.
And that really stinks when, most of these things say retreat. You can't retreat, and if you can't retreat, you're eliminated.
You have to know how to use terrain, read terrain.
And due to my ignorance, it ended up there, and it was chopped off. And as Bart comes around...
You're a quick learner. Okay, that was our first commentary.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And I just want to give you a preview on some stuff I'm always fantasized about playing. Okay.
This is from Strategy and Tactics magazine. What year?
2000 BC.
Yes, they would cover it, be able to...
Men at Arms. It's 1200 BC to 1500 AD.
So we're talking Bronze Age
They're
warriors.
old. They're from the early 80s. No Han. And it's a cool little game. It seems like 'cause it's got armor, artillery, planes, and little tiny microcosm. But I never got to it. White Eagle Eastward. Russo-Polish War. And
It's the Russo-Polish War?
Russo-Polish
Or
War.
1920. Oh, okay.
During the Red Civil War.
Exactly.
And I played this game once or twice, and I loved it. It was amazing. But this is the game that I want to actually play. Sedan. I love this game.
What time period? Oh,
It's a Franco-Prussian war.
1870.
Okay. I also want to play Steve Jackson's
classic pocket box Ogre. It's about a giant, Empire State Building size robotic tank fighting in a nuclear war in the future where everything's radioactive, but these tanks are just huge and you throw tons of regular tanks.
I've played Ogre many times and we'll definitely do it.
Artillery.
And I want to do Invasion of the
Air Eaters.
Or, I mean, the return of the invasion of the Air Eaters or whatever.
No, it is the return of the invasion, or did we play, I thought last time we played Invasion of the Air Eaters. It was, I didn't know.
Was that with the going from planet to planet?
Planet to
That
planet.
is Return of the Air Eaters.
That's Return of the Air Eaters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a horrible name.
It's a great game, though.
Yeah,
it was an early sci-fi type game using counters, and you would advance your technology, goes get spread out amongst the star systems, and it had an interesting story and actually was a lot of fun.
Well, we hopefully are going to cover that game in the next couple of years.
I hope it's one of the upcoming shows you'll see here.
Okay.
Thank you once again from Games, Strategy, and Reviews. Have a good night.
I'm Bart.
I'm Roger.
Good night from New Jersey.
Good night.